Myth 4. Some got it, I don't. The genius fallacy. You know, we've all heard like the nature versus nurture thing, and I think too often, I don't know if people really believe, like buy into this wholeheartedly as much as it's an excuse, I guess, that if you don't think you're a good writer, it's a way to like hunker down in that and not try. I feel like you're welcome to disagree with me on that. But I do think that there's something to be said for there being some nature in it and some people just naturally having some strengths and weaknesses. Um, but again, I think that it's more complicated than that. For instance, I think my story that goes along with this is that I was actually never that great at like my grades in reading and writing were always a little bit worse than science and math when I was a lot younger. Like we're talking like early elementary. Um, but I ended up going into writing and things later on because I had to get good at it because when I was a kid, I had, this is my sad, awkward childhood story. I had a speech impediment, and it was really bad. Like I was like in speech therapy for like 10 years. And so when you're a kid with a speech problem, other people don't want to talk to you as much. So you end up doing a lot of talking to yourself. So I did a lot of just walking around alone and telling myself stories and coming up with characters and just being an all around weird kid, you know? And I was also told that I should either sing or write things that I wanted to say. And you do not want to hear me sing. So I wrote out a lot of the things I was thinking and what I wanted to say. And I think a lot of that just gave me a lot of practice because again, like they weren't my best grades. I've always been a slow reader, still am. And I've always been a little bit stronger at writing than reading anyway. But I think I got into this, I got older, and the more I practiced with it and wrote, the better I got and started to really see that I had developed some skills and maybe had some natural talent for it. But it wasn't something that I just saw like when I was a kid and just like kind of came naturally to me. So I think we forget that like sometimes it's, you know, maybe your family had a preference for a subject and pushed you in a certain direction, or your friends or your school. Maybe the person beside you seems like a better writer because they've had more writing classes or they've learned skills that you haven't learned yet, not necessarily a nature thing. So I guess for this one, I guess the point that I take away from this is that everybody can learn skills. It's not some like yes or no, black and white, like I'm either good at it or I'm not. Because writing is communicating and communicating isn't everything. So it's important to build at least those communication skills that translate into everything.